We start with our stories now. This is Midday Live, and we start with one of our very first headline stories. We're heading to the victims of the gas explosion, and some of the Takoradi gas explosion victims are calling on government to intervene in their demand for compensation from their employers. That's the Ghana Household Utilities Manufacturing Company. The victims were still recovering and receiving treatment at a 37 military hospital a month after the accident, claim no discussion on their welfare and compensation have been held between them and their employees. Here's a report by Sarah Paco.
Albert, Patrick, Kofi and their two other colleagues who are workers of the Ganko Chinese company are still receiving treatment at the 37 military hospital a month after the Takoradi gas explosion which injured 50 people. 34-year-old Kofi Mensah is being taken to the theater for skin grafting, while Albert and Patrick have also been scheduled for Thursday, June 8. They told the news team they will not go back to the workplace when they are discharged as they feel neglected.
I'm not doing all that good, but right now I'm on the verge of trying very hard to get well. If the government agency can also force them to compensate those who are hurt, that would be very beneficial.
We are here. I don't know what's going on there because we are not getting any result from our own people. If the insurance, they pay something for our company to give us, that they do want to give it to us. For that one, I don't know.
Have they made any promise on compensation?
They are taking charge of the hospital bills.
I've just been informed that it's government who is footing the bills. What has the company told you?
But they are taking care of their bills.
But public relations officer of the 37 military hospital, Major Garba Pabi, disclosed government would pay their bills.
For now, it is the hospital which is footing their bills, and the agreement is the hospital will foot the bills and then send it to the government to reimburse the hospital.
But for the 3 personnel of the National Fire Service who were injured, it is the Chief Fire Officer who has settled their bills.
As at now, apart from the Chief Officer, Dr. Brangezi, who has assisted financially, I have not heard any other organization or from the company. Nobody comes in to find out what actually happens to them. And I think as a country, we need to be looking out for people that have taken a job to protect life and property.
Management of the Ganko Chinese company declined to comment on the issue. The cause of the fire is yet to be established.
We focus on health and still on one of our headline stories. According to UNAIDS, 190 women and girls are currently living with HIV. That's 190,000 are currently living with HIV and AIDS in Ghana. Portia Gabo spent time with a 14-year-old girl living with HIV and has come through with the following report.
Fearless, that's the name I choose to call her. Ekia Danswa is one of 270,000 persons living with HIV in Ghana. She was infected through her mother's breast milk. Her mom had no knowledge that mother-to-child transmission of HIV could be prevented.
I wanted to show my face because I wanted to see the reaction of people if they got to know that I am sick with this disease, but I am healthy looking. And I can make it, and I'm making it in life.
So are you disappointed that even as I'm talking to you, you can't show your face, you're hiding your face to the world? Are you disappointed?
Yes, very disappointed because you crushed my dream. I really wanted to show my face, but my mom also prevented it, saying that I'm still in school. So I have to end my school, then if I want to show my face to the world, then I can do it.
How did you feel when your mother broke the news to you?
Well, she didn't actually break it to me. I found out long before she told me. I read through my folder. You see, when you go to the hospital, they give you a folder. In the folder, there was, I think there was a form saying that I was diagnosed of HIV in 2006.
Ekia is currently a student at one of the best senior high schools in Ghana and topped her class last term. She dreams of being a television presenter in future. Interestingly, you chose to be a boarder. Didn't it bother you that you were going to share the same room with people who were not HIV positive?
Oh no, not at all. I wanted to experience life more like a human being, a normal person. So every day, day in, day out, I feel normal. I don't care. Sometimes I don't even know that I'm ill because of how I carry myself.
Do your friends at school know that you are HIV positive?
Oh, no, I've not told anyone. And even if I did, they wouldn't understand. Even though I would like to tell them, I don't really care if they stigmatize me, because back when you didn't know, you've already touched me, you've already eaten with me before, so you don't have to be afraid of me, anything like that.
So do you think a time will come where you think you tell your friends that you are HIV positive in school?
Oh, definitely. I would like to see their expression, how they will behave, how they react to me. That's when I'll get to know my enemies and my lovers.
Currently serving as an HIV ambassador among her peers, Ekua has been encouraging children and adolescents living with HIV to take their medication. The side effect of HIV drugs is, however, having a toll on her. Ekua Danswa says she will pursue her dream of reducing stigmatization against persons living with HIV until her last breath. And of course, she's handling HIV like a boss. But what message would you like to give to those who stigmatize against people living with HIV? What do you want to tell them?
I'd like to tell them that they should stop wasting their time. There are other deadly diseases out there that are killing more faster than this disease.
For Shigabo, TV3.
So that was the story of a 14-year-old living with HIV, and the figures keep going up. Let's go to our touch screen and see some statistics we have from UNAIDS on HIV. And 18.6 million women and girls are living with HIV globally. This is a global statistics, and that's the figure here. Let's move on to see what others we have for you here. Nearly 1 million new HIV infections among women and girls are recorded every year. Every 4 minutes, 3 young women become infected with HIV. That's every 4 minutes. That's every 4 minutes of every day. 3 young women become infected with HIV. And there we have HIV prevalence among female sex workers that we have for Burundi, Burkina Faso, India, Dominican Republic. We have for Mozambique here again, and then some other states in Mozambique, Haiti, and then let's focus on Ghana, which is our central point. And there you have it, 11.1% for Ghana out of the figures. That's for female sex workers who face multiple challenges, including physical violence, sexual violence, HIV prevalence recorded here as well. And we'll now move to the very last one, which we have for you. But we also have a representative that's the outgoing representative for UNAIDS here, who will be telling us exactly what we should do, what should be done, what has been done so far, and if indeed we're winning the war against HIV and AIDS. And I do have in the studio this afternoon, that's the outgoing UNAIDS country representative for Ghana, Gwime Haile. Good afternoon,
Thank
sir.
you very much.
And thanks for your time.
First
of all, what do you make of the figures so far?
Well, these some of the figures, or most of them that you've been mentioning, are global figures. We tend to monitor the global situation to also have a better understanding of what's happening at the national level. And also, when we do the national level analysis, it also helps us on the kinds of interventions that we need to do. But these figures are probably within the bigger spectrum of the HIV data. This is where the biggest burden of the problem still persists among young women and among young children, especially people from 24 and below and 15 and above. And this has continuously been the biggest challenge because of many other factors that are not really related to the disease itself or the infection itself, but because of social norms, social culture, and also this age group tends to be very voiceless in many countries and communities.
But even with a bit where I read that every 4 minutes a young woman gets infected, is it that these health and reproductive services or HIV services are not universally available for young girls and women? Could that be a factor?
It is not that the services are not universally available, but the services are not friendly enough to be able to pick up on this. That is why I say, because there are the part of community that really, or society that really don't have access or voice. Usually they tend to be left out from the mainstream efforts, both in terms of services and also in terms of advocacy, information and protection. And as you know, a lot of the times we also have stigma and discrimination.
I was going to ask you about that. Have we been able to deal with it as we should?
No, we haven't. And if there is any area where we have not succeeded very much until now, it is that area of stigma and discrimination. This is, you know, people have a way of developing their own views. They collect information and they collect other, you know, they see how other people behave, and also they develop their own trends. So it just becomes an unspoken collective agreement to behave in what way. For instance, we have seen lately all the mob killings, for instance, those kinds of things. You don't know where they come from, but they have already formed some sort of structure within the minds of people, and they happen. And being young, automatically you're discriminated or sometimes also stigmatized. And also being a young woman now doubles that.
Do we need to change our strategy? I remember in Ghana, for instance, there were some years ago, there were several educational campaigns on HIV and AIDS, and people got to understand that, yes, it's already happened, they're living with the situation. Do we need to change the strategy to ensure that stigmatization is dealt with once and for all?
Strategies need to evolve, but our biggest problem, not the strategy, but really the sustaining of those campaigns. For instance, when we had those intensive campaigns like you just mentioned, that cohort of young people at that point had the information that they needed and probably were better informed and better empowered. But as that cohort grows into the older age, you have a new cohort that comes in, but that imparting of information campaigns, those education that you do are not sustained. So therefore, all of a sudden, you have a new generation, a cohort that is less responsive to information, less responsive to self-empowerment, and so on.
Okay. Now, another big issue has to do with sex workers. And on the statistics, we did see that Ghana had 11.1%, and the criminalization of sex workers put sex workers at risk. And this, do you consider as something that should be dealt with?
Oh yes, oh yes. I mean, it's not only sex workers, but all communities that are at very high risk, that are in conflict with the law, including men who have sex with other men, and also sex workers. They tend to be criminalized, so therefore they go underground. So that's why, even though we have made a lot of progress in terms of new infections among these key populations, we still have not been able to arrest what has been going on in that area, because they are in conflict with the law. So therefore the tendency is always to go underground. So every time they go underground, it becomes very difficult for us to reach them and provide services and empower them to come out and get and seek services. So that is always a problem there.
Thank you so much for your time. I've been speaking to Grimehel. He is the outgoing UNAIDS country representative to Ghana. And we wish you well in your next endeavor.
Thank you very much. Thank you
so much for your time. Let's move on to other stories. And the women's rights advocate Mavis Tim Abuaje has suggested gender equality issues should be singled out as a pillar on its own to attract resources for effective implementation.
The definition of women empowerment to industry players globally is varied and dicey. Locally, many non-governmental organizations and gender groups have resorted to lectures to reshape the understanding of society. Some years after the Beijing conference, efforts at putting together a national policy for focused gender issues is a major challenge. Speaking at the launch of the Ghana Gender Equality Awards 2017 in Accra, a women's rights advocate, Mavis Tim Abuaje, said women must not only be empowered financially but also be educated on their basic rights. She called on society not to abuse the rights of women but rather help develop them to ensure gender balance and development.
I strongly endorse this idea of awarding institutions and individuals who are making society better, who are not afraid to battle with their male counterparts positively and rise above all odds.
The Executive Director of Exclusive Gender International, Stephen Ofosu, said the Gender Equality Ghana Awards 2017 seeks to recognize and share the efforts of businesses of individuals who are helping to advance the empowerment of women.
Ghana Gender Equality Awards 2017 to address the challenges that are holding women back from reaching their goals and full potentials in order for Ghana to achieve UN Planet 50-50 by the year 2030.
Speakers at the program called on Ghanaians to encourage gender equality, urging women to open up and seek more knowledge to enable them contribute towards national development. The program was aimed at achieving the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development.
Away from that story, the state protocol officers outlined details of the late Major Maxwell Mahama's funeral service. The late Major Mahama will be giving a state burial with full military honors at the Osu Military Cemetery after a burial service at the forecourt of State House on Friday, June 9, 2017. A vigil service will take place at the Arakan Officers' Mess on Thursday, that's June 8, 2017, at 7 p.m. The body of the deceased will be moved from the 37 Military Hospital to the forecourt of the State House on Friday, June 9, 2017, at 6 a.m. for filing past. Now, interment will take place at the Osu Military Cemetery. Final funeral rites of the late Major will be held at the forecourt of the State House immediately after the burial. And Thanksgiving service will be held at the Lighthouse Chapel International, Kodesh, North Kanishi, Accra on Sunday, June 11 at 10:30 a.m. Final funeral rites will be held at Bole from June 13 to 15, 2017, and Tumu from June 16 to 18, 2017. And still on this story, we have on the phone line a psychologist, Samuel Youngson, who's going to talk to us on what can be done in these times to assist his family. That's the family of the late Major Mahama. Samuel Youngson, good afternoon and thanks for agreeing to speak with us.
Good afternoon.
Psychological care for family of the late Major Mahama. What should be done and what do we do as a country to support them?
Okay, thank you very much. When you are in a situation like this, the wife, for example, didn't directly experience the traumatic condition. She did not witness in person, but what she did was that she learned that the event has happened to the husband. And when it happens like that, the wife will go through a whole lot of symptoms. So the symptoms or the presentations vary from person to person, but generally she'll be having distressing memories about what has happened to the husband. She'll also be having distressing dreams about the traumatic event. She'll have flashbacks about what has happened, and then she'll also not be able to, she'll have sleep disturbances, she'll have problems concentrating, and then she'll have eating problems and so on and so forth. These are some of the presentations that the wife will display. And when it happens like that, the first thing that we, the family, friends, and we as Ghanaians should do is to give her our social support. In fact, family members have done well, friends have done well, Ghanaians have done well in that respect. For social support will be able to help her to recover from the traumatic events faster. There has been so many research that has shown that people who are giving social support recover from traumatic events faster as compared to those who haven't been given social support. The other thing that I will also talk about is that because you'll be experiencing the symptoms that I aforementioned, anytime she experiences anything like that, she should speak to a trusted person. Besides, she should also be given an insight into the symptoms that she's displaying. Currently, the symptoms that she's displaying is normal. Anybody who finds herself in such a condition will display such symptoms. So she should be given an insight
into the symptoms she is displaying. So as you know that the symptoms are normal and they are attributed to the condition that she finds herself in at the moment.
Well, thank you so much. I have been speaking to a psychologist, that's Samuel Yorson, on how the family of the late Major Mahama can be supported in their grieving times. You're still watching Midday Live. We have more. And still on that very story, let's go for What Do You Think?
State provides a psychologist to the late Major Maxwell Adam Mahama would be laid to rest tomorrow, and most people are suggesting that the state provides a psychologist to help the wife go through the emotional trauma she might be going through now. To a large extent, others think that the state should put in place a mechanism to take care of all other people who may lose their relatives through such processes at the cost of the state. What do you also think?
It's very painful for somebody to lose the dear husband or a family like the way Captain Mahama goes. It would be very, very good if the state will form something like that, that maybe if something happened or something's happened again, it will be well taken up.
I support the idea that the state should get Mrs. Mahama, Adam Mahama, a psychologist, and also support her in all aspects. I support the view that the country should set up a fund to support such victims.
I agree with the suggestion that the government should put in place whereby someone could lose their parents or two of them who he or she does not have a place, or the state of emotional that the person could go and ask for advice or could go for comfort.
If it was me, I don't know how to forget it.
So you agree that we should get a psychologist?
Yes.
And the state should pay for it?
Yes.
I think it needs psychology, because passing through all this drama is very ethics. So you should go through the psychologist to help her in getting to know what to do. I mean, they should just help her. The government should just help her.
Without a psychologist, I don't think she will take it that easy. It's so sad. I'm even sad now. And tomorrow is the burial. Yeah. So imagine how Ghanaians are going to feel about this issue. And I think this thing has to stop. They should put a stop on this.
My condolences to the family. And I share their opinion that the state have to set a center for such thing if something occurs to somebody. I think the wife have to have a psychologist to take care of her so that she may come out from that trauma.
Good afternoon, and tell us about the process so far.
The election started around exactly at 7 a.m. this morning, amidst heavy security around all the polling stations because of the unprecedented two terrorist attacks that the country has experienced. So far, the election centers are not so much with people. The patronage so far is not heavy. I believe that from after 3 p.m., people will start queuing to go and vote. But leaders of the political parties have been voting. Theresa May and Jeremy Corbyn have cast their votes among many others. And they are seeking to elect 650 parliamentarians for all the constituencies. And we are also looking at the 2/3 of majority as a winner.
Well, what are the deciders for these very elections?
Under the Parliamentary Act of 2011, UK was supposed to have another election on the 7th of May 2020, but the Prime Minister Theresa May provided what they call snap election, and he won at the parliament with 522 and by 13 votes. That gave her the power to call for early election. According to her, when she wins this election, then she is going to have the backing and the powers to negotiate or to lead the country to negotiate for a better deal in leaving the European Union. For her, she was not getting the necessary support that she needed from the parties like the Lib Dems, the UKIP, and then the Labour. But for her, she needed a strong backing from all these parties to lead the United Kingdom out of the European Union.
And what are the opinion polls tilting towards?
The opinion polls, as at last night, tilted in favor of Theresa May. But getting to midnight last night, the gap had been closed. So if the polls are anything to go by, then we are seeing Theresa May maintaining the seat as the Prime Minister of this country.
Thank you so much, Nana Sefachum. He'll bring us some more updates as and when he does get them. But you're still watching Midday Live. We'll be speaking to a Ghanaian UK-based journalist, Nana Sefachum, on updates on the UK elections. This is still Midday Live. We'll bring you some more shortly.
There are lots of amazing stories out there. What we do on News 360 is to bring to you the most compelling news by teasing out the right pieces that bring the stories to life. My job is to present to you the news in the most gripping manner and asking the critical questions that bring out the needed detail out of the stories. My name is Alfred Okansi. Join me on News 360, Monday through to Friday, 7 p.m. on air and online only on TV3.
When the news breaks, reporters and anchors broadcast it. Analysts will talk about the impact of this on society. But current affairs will set the agenda for policymakers to implement it. This is what we do on Agenda. It's sharp, authentic, and hard-hitting. My name is Deborah Kwabla. Join us as we set the agenda.
Agenda now shows on Sundays at 3 p.m. only on TV3 and is supported by 3FM 92.7 Accra.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to the Business News. My name is Kwesi Asare. In our very first story, the Chartered Institute of Bankers says government's decision to issue new bonds to pay off legacy debt will bring significant relief to the banking industry. In an exclusive interview, the Chief Executive Officer of the Institute, Anthony Opon, said this could result in improved liquidity for banks and consequently bring down the high NPL ratio.
The government is seeking to raise a 10 billion cedi denominated bond, the equivalent of $2.5 billion. Out of the amount, $800 million is owed to local banks by the bulk oil distribution companies. The Chief Executive Officer of the Bankers Institute, Mr. Government's decision has been timely in helping to revive the banking industry, which was on the brink of possible collapse.
In 2015, for example, the total public sector debt to the banks was about 2.2%. 2016, it went up to 14.2%. A chunk of this bad debt for the public sector is as a result of this debt to these oil companies. If the government is going to retire these debts, it's really a relief to the banks.
He said the payment of funds would also impact positively on the economy, including a possible reduction in lending rates.
To make the banks more liquid and maybe able to start responding to some of these policy rates that the Bank of Ghana has reduced in the last couple of months.
All right, so we're going to stay a while longer on bonds, and this time on the earlier 2.25 bond that was issued by government. As you may be aware, there's been a lot of controversy surrounding this particular bond. The United States Securities and Exchange Commission has appointed a case manager for the petition filed by the minority over government's recent $2.25 billion bond issue. Now, joining me in the studio is Member of Parliament for Bolgatanga Central, Isaac Adongo. Thank you very much, sir, for your time, and good to have you in the studio. We know the Finance Minister was in Parliament yesterday to bring some more clarity to this particular matter. Are you convinced by his reasons?
Well, the Finance Minister basically succeeded in telling us how bonds are issued and not what really relates to this specific bond. And so for us, he didn't come to do what we asked him to do. Very pertinent questions. For instance, if you say that they normally will send an email to announce the bond, the bond. We're asking in this particular instance, when was that email sent, to who, and at what time? Very simple. So if you come and you are giving us general, and in the end print procedural manuals that I can easily download on Securities and Exchange Commission website and Bank of Ghana websites,
but Mr. Donko, that has always been the case. The minorities have been asking the Finance Minister to name participants of the bond, those who participants as requested by the minority. I mean, how is he going to do that? Why does he have to mention the participants of the bond?
Why? Did they come to buy cocaine? It's a bond. I mean, for that matter.
Well, these are matters of investment.
And so, since when did the investment become illegal instruments that when you are involved in them, you should do it in secrecy? Since when? Bonds are purely market instruments. And when you are involved in a market, you should be willing for the transparency that is required in that market. We were not selling cocaine to those people. We're selling bonds.
Some say the minority has made up its mind. There's really nothing I can say to convince you.
Listen, I personally, on the floor of the House, told the minister, you don't need to tell us whether it's in cedis or in dollars and all the English. Give me the agreement I can read and understand. Simple. Where is the agreement? Where is the prospectus? Nothing. So at the end of the day, we are back to square one. What is he hiding? What is he hiding?
The United States Securities and Exchange Commission has appointed a case manager for the petition that was filed by the minority over the bond issue. Is that satisfactory for you?
Yeah, definitely. That is a very positive development. We have been assured of a speedy resolution to this matter. And the Securities and Exchange Commission believes in the merits of our case. And that is the reason why they have moved to the next step of wanting to investigate what really happened.
What are you seeking?
We're seeking to establish the truth, nothing but the truth. The people of Ghana deserve to know what really transpired. You and I know. And yesterday, the minority leader made a very interesting comment. He said, how can you issue a bond, you are paid in cedis, and your international reserves increase? International reserves are measured in currencies other than the cedi. We are told, based on official record from the head of financial markets of the Bank of Ghana, Mr. Opata, when he appeared before the Public Accounts Committee, he said $2 billion was paid into Bank of Ghana's own account.
It was a cedi-denominated bond.
Yes.
So once you have foreigners buying it, they come with their dollars and they pay to the central bank. Now, government withdraws in cedis, it doesn't withdraw in dollars.
You can't, since when? If you pay dollars to Bank of Ghana, you are settling in dollars. If you want to pay in cedis, you send the money to your primary dealers, who then find the cedis and settle in cedis. In that case, the cedi stays on the books of a private bank and doesn't become part of our international.
So essentially, the finance minister's reactions have brought about more questions than answers for you.
More questions. It's created more what we call credibility deficit in the market.
According to the minority.
In the market.
According to the minority.
The question is very simple. How do you get settled in cedis and your international reserve goes up by 2 billion.
Mr. Dongo, I've got to say a big thank you to you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Dongo is MP for Bolgatanga Central, helping us on this subject. The whole controversy surrounding the $2.25 billion bond was issued by government earlier this year. That's all for the business news. My name is Asiedu-Dartey. Sorry.
To every story, there's a deeper meaning, a host of angles, which, when reported with the highest ethics of journalism, bring out the perspectives that matters most to you. That's what News 360 is all about. I seek to climb higher, dig deeper, and go further to bring you 360 degrees of the news and what happens thereafter. I'm Natalie Fort. Join me on News 360 every weekday at 7 p.m.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to Midday Live here on TV3. My name is Anako Jafre with a sports update for you here. And let's begin with from the camp of the Black Stars, where they walloped Asiedu Deportivo by 6-1 in a practice match ahead of their 2019 Africa Cup of Nations qualifier against Ethiopia. Rafael Jamina opened his Black Stars goal account with a brace, and Majid Juarez, after missing out on the 2017 AFCON in Gabon, also returned with a bank registering a brace. The two other scorers on the day was Jordan Ayew, whose goal was provided with an assist from Samuel Safo, and Frank Echampon also was among the goal scorers. In boxing, organizers of the Floyd Mayweather visit to Ghana have been outlining plans and activities lined up for the trip. The former welterweight champion of the world is due in Ghana as part of a visit to Africa.
Finally, some clarity on what exactly Floyd Mayweather will be doing in Ghana next week. The 40-year-old, widely considered to be one of the greatest boxers of all time, will spend June 15 and 16th in Ghana with planned meetings with the Asantehene, the President, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and an exhibition bout. But what exactly will this mean for Ghana boxing? CEO of Upscale Entertainment, Ronnie Yeboah, and President of Baby Jet Promotions, Samuel Enimado, are part of the team organizing the trip.
When he comes, we look at it from all aspects of it. We look at it from the entertainment aspect of it. We look at it from the tourism aspect of it. Because imagine if the guy tweets, 20 million followers see. And if 20 million followers see, it puts Ghana on the map. And the idea becomes, okay, who is Ghana? Where is Ghana?
When it comes to boxing, too much. Because we are going to do juvenile boxing, we are going to do amateur boxing, and then professional boxing. So we will exhibit what we have as a nation to him.
On the night, a series of exhibition bouts, including a 6-round cracker between IBO World Lightweight title holder Emmanuel the Game Boy Tego and his rival George Red Tiger Ashi, would headline the event at the Bukom Boxing Arena.
And Real Madrid forward Cristiano Ronaldo is the highest paid sportsman for the second successive year after Forbes announced the list. So you can see on the list there, Cristiano Ronaldo tops with $93 million, followed by Lionel Messi, who has $81.4 million. LeBron James, the basketball superstar, is in there with $77.2 million, followed by Roger Federer with $67.8 million. From the world of tennis, Kevin Durant, the basketball superstar who is leading the Golden State Warriors in the playoffs, is also in there, followed by Novak Djokovic, the tennis star. So that is the list for the highest top paid athletes in the world.
Ghana's Most Beautiful, coming soon on TV3.
Ghana's Strongest is on TV3 every Sunday, 5 p.m. But this week's event is happening this Saturday at Kotobabi Polo Park. Time 2 p.m. It's all about endurance, strength, finesse, techniques and skills bundled together. Don't miss out.
Ghana's Strongest, the power to do.
Ghana's Strongest is brought to you by Mixi Choco, Chane Hot,
Holy Trinity Spa and Health Farm, Tabia Herbal Mixture and Capsules,
and supported by Unya 95.1 FM
and 3news.com.
And after years of producing chart-topping songs, sound engineer Joseph Appiah, aka Quick Action, says it is no more worth it to help others make hits. His last major production was Adole, released in 2013 by Material. But why the disinterest? Quick Action has been speaking with Owusurai.
Welcome. Quick Action has several hit songs to show for his 15 years in the sound engineering business. He was present way before the Ghana-Nigeria collaborations peaked. He produced Tic Tac's Fefe Nefe,
the beauty of a woman.
He is responsible for a number of hits in the mid-2000s.
And I want to say a big thank you to Quick Action, man. One man who has played a major role in my career from the beginning. He supported, most of the hip life acts.
I recorded Sobi Dowa, which won the Mobile Awards for him 2006. I recorded Music Make Me Survive. I did Repatriation.
This might ring a bell. Quick Action mixed and produced that too. In 2012, he managed Material to win the maiden MTN Hitmaker singing competition. He's virtually been inactive after that.
Most of us, we've supported properly. But at the end of the day, it will turn out like trying to turn you down. Those we supported now, they try not to even turn back. Just to say hi self is a problem. It happened to Jesus Christ. The story with the 10 leopards, out of the 10, only one remembered.
Okay, so how has the past experience affected you? When you see people who virtually are now starting and they come to you and they beg you.
Yeah. When it comes to helping upcoming artists, I've had very bad experience. It has happened to me a series of times, and I realized that it's not helping me. I'm off with that thing for now. No.
Quick Action wants musicians to show gratitude after their collaborative efforts with sound engineers yield results. He described the engineer-musician partnership as spiritual, noting why he achieved a major success with Samini.
Music is a collaboration, and it's a spirit. Music is spirit. It's a spiritual, stuff. So every artist needs to get a producer that you click with. Somebody like Samini, if I close my eyes, I know what I can do for Samini, then he will bounce back to be number one or something. I have him in my palm like this because I can say from my chest that the kind of producers that he's working with, they don't know Samini. Samini is not a dancer artist. I will say it and I will repeat. Musically, there's a particular trend that the producers he's working with now, they don't know. That's the problem now.
We'll go back to politics, and the NDC turns 25 years this year. The party has ruled the country for 16 years, and today key party stalwarts are deliberating on how to regain political power. My colleague Jonathan Adams joins us live from the party headquarters.
Under this sun, because her politics starts right from the bedroom. And I can assure you that what she needs, what she's going to talk, her objective, what she wants to get out of whatever she wants to do, she would analyze and know all these things, even, and she will get it from her husband before she leaves there the following day. is part of politics. When you go out to the kitchen, you've got to organize yourself. You don't just go and begin cooking rice. You fetch rice and put before you put water. The woman is organized. The upbringing of the child. The woman knows what she wants her daughter or her son to be. And so, she works along that. Why is it that when it comes onto the issues of how to take decision, what will develop our country, what will project women, we believe that women cannot do it. Women have been the best politicians, and I believe that they should be supported. Mr. Chairman, I know there is no enough time. I can talk and talk and talk. But then, let's get back to our roots. Let us respect our values. Let us continue to know that that fight, that anger in you, the quarrel, the displeasure, what you don't want to drop, is not an issue of you, but it's an issue of us, because it is a party. And the party is not about an individual. The party is about all of us. The party is about all of us. If we do not drop them and get united, the NDC has always said unity, unity, unity. Unfortunately, I can assure you that for the past 8 years, I have seen the issue of unity dissipating very seriously, simply because we are not each other's keepers. Then some of us continue to say that we are cadres. Some of us continue to say that we are revolutionaries. Some of us say that we are members of the 31st, and then we say we are members of the NDC. I believe that if there had not been unity, we wouldn't have been referring to it as a Congress. Because it's due to the unity that it is a Congress, and you have found people from all facets of life, different political parties joining, and we having the great NDC party. We shouldn't mimic. We shouldn't go back. We shouldn't renege on what we are. If we mimic what those people are doing, if we mimic them.
So we'll bring you somewhere in our subsequent bulletins, but you have been hearing Ladi Ayamba, a member of the NDC, speaking as part of activities marking the party's 25th anniversary. Well, we'll bring you some more, as I mentioned earlier. I am Wendy Lai.